All right, I want to talk just a little bit more about Charlie Kirk, but this is really not about Charlie Kirk. This is actually about the trans kids issue and a new version of the same tired homophobic talking point from 15 years ago or even longer. Let's start with a clip to tell you what I'm talking about. Here is Charlie Kirk saying that TikTok is turning kids transgender. Turning kids transgender. The language really matters here. Listen to what he has to say.
I want to play a piece of tape here, Jack, and get your reaction. This is Senator Tom Cotton talking about how, hey, if you're fired up about the balloon, wait till I tell you about TikTok. Play cut 2.
China has been waging a Cold War against the United States for decades, and unfortunately, not many of our leaders have acknowledged that. They want to deny that it's happening, but when a nation like China is waging a Cold War against us, the only choice is whether to win or to lose. I think this spy balloon that so vividly went across America is a very high-profile reminder to Americans about what the Chinese communists have been up to. Because I got to tell your viewers, if they're worried about a spy balloon flying across middle America, let me tell them about the TikTok app that they may have on their phone and what it means for their security and their privacy and that of their children as well.
Yeah, not to mention TikTok is turning kids trans. Jack, we're already in a Cold War.
The degree, the casual nature with which these people say insane things. Yeah, and by the way, TikTok is turning kids trans. Now, couple different things here that I think are important to point out. First and foremost, the Charlie Kirk show is on TikTok, okay? He has not as many followers as we do, fine, but over 200,000 followers on TikTok, the Charlie Kirk show. If Charlie Kirk thinks that TikTok is a problem, then why is Charlie Kirk on TikTok making the problem worse by directing viewers of his onto that platform? But I want to talk about this idea of turning kids trans. This is verbatim what used to be said about kids being turned gay. 15 years ago on this show, I would interview virulent homophobes like Peter LaBarbera and Chaplain Gordon Klingenschmidt and the Westboro Baptist Church people and Dr. Paul Cameron. Is he still alive, by the way? I'm actually curious about that. Dr. Paul Cameron, let's see. Apparently he is. Yeah, he's 83 years old. So I would interview these folks. And remember, at the time, Brian Fisher was another one. They never really were too worried about lesbians. Gay men was their focus. And one of the things they would say is, kids are being convinced, boys in particular, are being convinced to be gay. Now they've switched to kids are being convinced to be trans. You can't convince people to be gay or trans. Now, I want to do this thoroughly because I think that this entire talking point is BS and it's dangerous. But there is one conversation that we can have about this, okay? You really can't convince people to be gay or trans. If at 7 or something, you had started to say, hey, don't you find these little boys attractive, David? Or it's great to like boys instead of girls, whatever, right? There's no way that you can convince people to be gay or trans. What can happen is that people who are gay or trans might not be comfortable expressing that because of social stigma or pressure or fears or whatever. And that if they perceive that it would be fine for them to just be who they are, they don't have to hide it, you might see more young people willing to express who they actually are. That is absolutely true, that when you reduce stigma and you reduce fear, people are just more comfortable telling you who they are. Now, all of that being said, I am open to the idea that the discourse can temporarily encourage people to see solutions to a problem they're having in whatever is prevalent in the narrative. And what I mean by that is now here I'm not talking about people who are trans. What I am talking about is there are people who, for all sorts of different reasons in their lives, come to have what we might call a crisis. They aren't happy with their lives or with who they are or with how things are going or whatever the case may be. I know people who become fixated in an unhealthy way, for example, on a particular diet. I am aware of someone who was having problems in their life, and they decided it was diet related. They believed their food was making them depressed and all of these different things. And so they said, I'm only going to eat fruit and nuts. And they did that for a year, and it was completely extreme and terrible. And then they said, the problem is my diet, but it's the wrong diet. I'm going to go on the meat diet, essentially. And they were eating, sticks of butter and 10 eggs for breakfast or whatever. And then they realized what I really needed was actually just to sort out emotional problems I was having, and I should just be eating a normal diet. I am open, although I have not seen evidence that this is going on, I am open to the idea that for kids of a certain age where there are these sort of struggles and identity issues, that they might temporarily, if what they are hearing about is being trans, they might wonder, maybe that's the issue that I'm having. And then, of course, at some point they would realize that it is actually not. That I am open to. All of this other stuff, you can convince kids to be trans, that there's no evidence of it whatsoever. And it's quite frankly absurd that Charlie Kirk just so offhandedly says it.